Okay, what you're about to see is essentially a declassified briefing. We're taking a hard look back at the year 2025. And let me tell you, this wasn't just another year of data breaches and password leaks. No, this was the year cyber risk fundamentally changed and became a very real, systemic threat to our physical world.
So all the information we're covering here comes from a deep analysis of that pivotal year. It reveals the exact moment when the very foundation of our digital society just cracked. And this isn't some history lesson. This is about understanding the brand new reality we are all living in right now.
You know, this quote really nails it. A metamorphosis, that's a powerful word. It means for the very first time, we saw virtual threats consistently creating real-world physical chaos. That conceptual firewall we all thought existed between the digital world and the physical one, yeah, that was officially gone.
And that brings us to this absolutely crucial concept, systemic risk. We're not talking about one company having a bad day anymore. We're talking about a single attack that can literally topple an entire supply chain, shut down a city's water supply, or send an economy into a tailspin. One domino falls, and the whole system can come crashing down.
So how did we get here? Well, this crisis didn't come from just one place. It wasn't a single piece of tech or one super hacker. It was a perfect storm, a convergence of 5 incredibly dangerous trends that all hit at once and amplified each other, creating this environment of unprecedented risk.
First up, ransomware got a major upgrade. It stopped being just a financial headache for businesses and became a strategic weapon. Attackers weren't just locking up spreadsheets anymore. They were targeting critical infrastructure. We're talking hospitals, power grids, public utilities, places where any downtime could have truly catastrophic consequences.
Second, the supply chain became the new front line. I mean, why try to break down the front door of a fortress when you can just steal a key from one of its trusted suppliers? Attackers figured out that by hitting just one software vendor, they could create this massive domino effect, toppling hundreds, even thousands of their customers all at once.
Threat number 3, our digital identities were basically harvested on an industrial scale. Think about that. We're talking billions of stolen usernames and passwords floating around on the dark web. This made credential stuffing, where bots just test those stolen logins everywhere, a constant nagging threat. Suddenly, everyone was a potential target.
Fourth, and this is where it gets a little scary, artificial intelligence supercharged the art of the scam. AI could now write a perfectly personalized phishing email that you'd swear was from your boss. It could even create deepfake voices of CEOs. Deception became hyper-realistic, making it almost impossible for a person to spot the fake.
And finally, the fifth element, cyberspace, officially became a primary battlefield for global conflict. Nation-states started using cyber attacks not just to spy, but as actual tools of economic warfare and sabotage. This completely blurred the lines between cybercrime and an act of war.
So, what was the price tag on this perfect storm? Well, it was staggering. By 2025, the global cost of cybercrime blew past $12 trillion. Now, to put that in perspective, that's not just a financial loss. That's economic damage on the scale of a massive natural disaster or a major military conflict. And if we zoom in to the company level, the average cost to recover from a single data breach shot up to nearly $5 million. For a lot of businesses, one security mistake was now a legitimate existential threat. It could literally wipe them out.
This chart here shows us the main point of failure. Nearly half of all data breaches happened because attackers exploited third-party access. It just proves that our greatest strength, our incredible interconnectedness, had also become our most profound and dangerous vulnerability.
All right, let's move from the big, scary statistics to some specifics. We're going to open the case files on a few of the landmark breaches from 2025 to see exactly how these threats played out in the real world. First on the docket, the University of Phoenix. Now, this was carried out by the notorious Clop ransomware group. And what's interesting is they didn't attack the university directly. Nope. They found a zero-day flaw. That's a vulnerability the software maker doesn't even know exists yet in a really popular piece of software from Oracle. And just like that, they had a backdoor.
Now check out this timeline. The attackers were inside the network way back in August, quietly stealing data. But the university had no clue until 3 months later, in November, when the Clop group publicly named them as a victim. That 3-month dwell time is terrifying. It means the attackers had free reign of the place for a quarter of a year. And what did they get away with? The sensitive records of nearly 3.5 million students and staff. We're talking social security numbers, dates of birth, even bank account information. It was an absolutely devastating breach of trust and privacy.
Okay, let's move on. Our next case file is, well, it's an even more chilling scenario. Here we see a direct attack on critical public infrastructure, the Romanian Water Agency. This is where that digital risk becomes a very real physical threat.
The way they got in was almost deceptively simple. It all started with a single phishing email. One person clicked one bad link. From there, the attackers exploited a known vulnerability and managed to encrypt 1,000 SCADA systems. Those are the industrial computers that manage water treatment. The result? The entire process just stopped.
Now, how is this even possible? It's because the scams themselves had evolved. You know those old emails with bad grammar and generic greetings? They were gone. By 2025, AI was creating perfect, personalized lures. In one infamous case, a finance employee was tricked into transferring $25 million after having a phone call with a deepfake audio clone of their CEO's voice. It sounded exactly like him.
So obviously, these attacks weren't just about code and money. They had deep, lasting consequences for people, for society, and for international relations. This is the real fallout.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? The attacks created this deep climate of skepticism. Could you really trust that urgent email from your boss? Was that actually your colleague on that video call? This erosion of trust, it wasn't just personal, it became geopolitical. How can nations even conduct diplomacy when official communications can be so convincingly faked? It turned out to be the most damaging consequence of all.
But the story of 2025 isn't just one of doom and gloom. It's also a story about resilience. You know, the failures of that year actually forged a whole new understanding of defense. So let's end this by opening up the playbook and turning what we've learned into some real actionable strategies.
For you, on a personal level, the playbook is pretty clear. First, use a password manager. It's the only way to have unique, complex passwords for everything. Second, if you get an urgent request for money or data, verify it through a different channel. Pick up the phone and call the person. And third, remember that multi-factor authentication is great, but it is not a silver bullet. You still have to be vigilant.
And for organizations, the strategic shift is even bigger. It all starts with adopting an assumed breach mindset. Basically, knowing that attackers will eventually get in and focusing on finding them fast. That means continuous monitoring, locking down every single third-party connection, and using network segmentation to wall off your most critical systems. That way, one fire can't burn down the whole house.
And so that's what we're left with. 2025 forced all of us to confront this new reality of systemic risk. It proved that, yeah, our interconnected world offers incredible advantages, but it also carries a profound price, a price that we have to be prepared to understand and, more importantly, to defend against.